All right, guys, this is just some help on some of these problems for your homework tonight. So we're solving by taking the square root. Okay, solving by taking the square root. So that means first we have to isolate, I'm just going to put iso, the x squared term. And then second, we're going to take the square root to both sides. Okay. All right, so I'm just recapping the steps that were on our notes today when we looked at two different forms. All right, so like on number 2, I'm going to start on this even side here. I'm just going to do a couple. This 2x squared term needs to be isolated. And to do that, you're going to have to add 18 to both sides to get rid of this minus 18. We eliminate that. Now we have 2x squared. Sorry. We'll have the 2x squared equals 18. That was supposed to stay blue. Sorry about that. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to isolate the x squared term by dividing by the coefficient by 2. Divide by 2. Those two cancels. Now we have x squared equals 9. So now we're down to step 2, which says take the square root. Meaning we're going to put this radical symbol on both sides of the equal sign. And we're going to write x equals a positive and a negative, so plus or minus 3. Okay. And if you're not sure, you have to go to your calculator. Let me get out of this. Sorry. And you do second x squared and 9, and then it's going to always show the principal root, the positive root, and then we're going to just know that it's always a positive and a negative whenever we take the square root. Okay. Now, let me show you. You could end up with some decimal answers or some errors when you're doing this, and let me show you or explain to you what that means. So like we're isolating the x squared, so here we would minus 81. And when we do that, we get x squared equals a negative 81. So now we have to take the square root. So when I do second x squared and negative 81, we get this error, non-real answer. This is in real mode. All calculations must be a real number. So what's happening, what they're trying to tell you when you get an error, is that this is, no solution. And basically what you need to remember is anytime you take the square root of a negative number, it would always equal no solution. All right, so we have multiple steps on number 6. Hopefully you see you have to add the 22 first, and then it's back to like what we did on number 2. Do want to talk about number 8. It's similar to 7. So our first step here would be plus 1 to isolate the x squared term. This is 1/4 x squared equals 16. And whenever you have a fraction coefficient, just like right here, to get rid of that fraction coefficient, you have to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 4/1. This is 4/1. This is going to get rid of the fraction, so I have x squared equals, this is going to give me 64. So now I'm taking the square root, and so we should get x equals plus or minus 8. Okay. Now you can take the square root of a fraction. 10 is a good example of that. Like when I first isolate the x squared term here by dividing 9, okay, 9 can't go into 49 evenly, so we should leave it as 49/9, like that, like a fraction. And then when you take the square root, you can actually do that in the calculator. You hit second x squared to get your, let me get out of this. Second x squared to get your radical. And then alpha y equals, that lets me do my fraction. So we have, oops, let me clear that. Second x squared. 49/7, or no, over 9. And then we hit enter, and it comes out to the fraction 7/3. Okay. So this is x equals plus or minus 7/3. So gonna finish this. Also, don't forget you got the sample star questions on the back. Okay, try your best on this to see how well prepared are you with using these skills on star questions. All right, thanks. Get this done. It's a grade.